I was reading a blog the other day by my good friend Tom Corley, and it was about success. And it made me think about success and what it means and how you achieve it. Now, if you're a regular listener to my podcast, you know that we mainly talk about property. But if you think about it, property is really just the vehicle that you're using to achieve your own success, be it financial or wealth or prosperity. So I guess that means the only person that can answer the question, what does success mean, is you. I'm not willing to prescribe an ultimate definition of success. That's not possible, is it? But today I'd like to spend a little bit of time talking about it on this podcast with Mark Creedon, so that at the end of today's show, you're going to figure out what's important to you, and you're going to have some key steps to help you achieve success in your life, whether it's in property, whether it's in investment, business, your personal life, whatever. So welcome to today's show.
Welcome to the Michael Yardney podcast, where twice each week you will learn a number of new ideas regarding success, property investment and money in around 30 minutes. Our show is brought to you by Metropole, who specialise in helping you grow, protect and pass on your wealth through strategic property and wealth advice. Now here's your host, Michael Yardney, Australia's authority in wealth creation through property, who has been voted one of Australia's top 50 most influential thought leaders.
What is success? Is it wealth? Is it happiness? Is it fame? I guess success can't be summed up in one sentence. And there are different forms of success. And that's what I want to chat about today with Mark Creedon, founder and CEO of Business Accelerator Mastermind. Hi, Mark.
Hello, Michael. Always good to have these chats with you.
Yeah, thank you. As I said in the main introduction, there can't be one definition of success that's suitable for everybody. But I believe it's important that one knows how to define success for yourself in your own life so that you can be happy. And as I was thinking about what we'd chat about today, I realised there are a number of different types of success. And I came to the conclusion you can't just focus on one type. You really got to look at different areas of success in your life.
Oh, you absolutely do. And the other thing too, Michael, is that they're not necessarily mutually exclusive, are they? So it's not as if you just have to chase one and at the cost of the other.
Sure. So, clearly this podcast is a lot about property and success and money. So people are clearly thinking about financial success. I guess if you ask the average person what success is, most would answer it in a financial way, becoming wealthy, becoming rich. When you've got enough wealth to meet your needs, though, and your wants, that's financial success, but that's really only one part of it. Really interestingly, I was just thinking as we're talking in a few weeks' time, we're going to be at Wealth Retreat where we're already in a room of already very, very successful people, business people, entrepreneurs. And financial success isn't really one of the things they tend to talk about. There are so many other areas for them.
Yeah, I think that was one of the big eye-openers for me when I came to my first Wealth Retreat, which was, goodness me, I don't know, 8-9 years ago now, a long time ago. Having said that, can I just say that everyone I go to, even as a speaker, listening to the other speakers, I still walk away learning something after every time.
And that's why people come back, sure.
But you're quite right. The other thing too, Michael, is we talk about needs and wants, they're not two distinct types, are they? I mean, for example, some people are happy just to meet their needs. Some people want to meet their needs and their wants. So neither is right, neither is wrong.
I guess the other thing that we see a lot, and this is to do with people at Wealth Retreat, but in general is family success, actually being comfortable. And we're both grandparents, so it's important for your kids to feel comfortable, to feel warm, to feel loved, but also as one gets older, the extra generations as well.
Yeah, you and I have been talking a bit about that lately, haven't we, about legacy for grandchildren and things like that. But, when you and I were talking about this concept of success the other day, and family success, you want your family to have the experience that you didn't have, or you want them to have the things that you missed out on. But when my daughter first told me that she was marrying my now son-in-law, Leroy, my first thought wasn't around his wealth, or it was actually around how he treated people. And people have often said to me, what's Leroy like? I went, do you know what? He treats Samantha really well. He was incredibly respectful to me and to my mum, who was still alive at the time. I don't think I could ask for much more than that. So that was sort of the criteria for family success for me in that situation.
Sure. So we talk about wealth success, family success. I guess health success is important as well. That's been brought home with the challenges of a pandemic, hasn't it?
That's a tough one. So one that probably you and I both struggle with from time to time, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I do my walking, you do your yoga and your gym work, and so we try and look after ourselves. As we're looking at the various areas where you can consider yourself successful, career success is important. It's important to like what you're doing, love what you're doing. If you love what you're doing for a living, you're going to enjoy going to work rather than just earning money to meet your needs and waiting for hump day and then the weekend to come.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is that the career success is so closely linked to the other ones we've just spoken about, because if you do find that success, it's much easier to focus on health and family and then, of course, financial success flows, I think.
Well, as a business coach, I'm sure you realise that you actually need that passion in your business, in your job, to overcome all the obstacles that are continuously thrown your way. Otherwise, it's too easy to give up.
Absolutely. Even with passion, sometimes it's it's tempting. But you're 100% right. And so that's why they all of these successes, I think, are inextricably linked in one way or another.
Actually, as I'm thinking about it, these are the areas that we get people to plan in at Wealth Retreat also, isn't it? Because we actually get them to decide where they're going to be in 5 years' time. We're running Wealth Retreat on the 2nd of April, 2nd to 6th of April. And probably by the time people listen to this, it's going to be sold out. But if there is 1 or 2 spots left, why not go to wealthretreat.com.au and leave your details, and let's have a chat to see if it's suitable for you, because the aim is to work out where you're going to be in 5 years' time. And for those of you who are not going to come to Wealth Retreat, please keep listening, because we're going to help you actually set yourself some goals for success. So another area of success is relationships in your social circle.
Yeah, it's very important. I think one of the things we often find, Michael, at Wealth Retreat, but also within our Business Accelerator Mastermind program, is the vital importance of the people you have around you.
Sure, not just your mentors and coaches, but it's been said that you're like the 5 people you most hang out with. So I don't hang out with guys who wear lycra and ride bikes, so I don't look like them. But those who do, they're fit and they hang out with each other. So if you're looking for success, you've got to get an inner circle of people that are already achieving and thinking the way you want to think. Another area of success is mental success. When your mind's clear, when you're calm, when you're optimistic, when you're upbeat, you tend not to get as consumed by stress. So in my mind, that's a level of success also.
Yeah, I agree. You've got to have that clear mind. And the other thing too, Michael, I think, is when you don't have that clear mind, mental success is about knowing how you're going to get back there. So it's, how you're going to push your way through it and get back to the other side.
Sure. I guess one of the themes of mental success is also being optimistic. If you're optimistic, you're not going to see just the obstacles. You actually believe the future is going to be better rather than these obstacles that are getting in the way.
Yeah, definitely.
And the last area of success I'd like to maybe just quickly point out is fulfillment success. Short-term happiness is anything that creates instant gratification, but that type of happiness goes away quickly. Fulfillment, on the other hand, that's long-term happiness. It means you're feeling fulfilled in all areas of your life, like we already discussed: financial, family, health, career, social, mental. That's the areas that I think we should all be striving to achieve, to be successful in a range of areas. And of course, at various stages in your life and your career, you tend to focus on one more than the other. But if it's not a balanced area that you keep working on, life can get pretty unpleasant and awkward, as can relationships.
Oh, that's right. It's like having a bicycle with square wheels. I mean, it's a very, very bumpy ride if you don't constantly work on each of those aspects.
So I guess what I'm suggesting is those listening to this should actually be thinking, well, which types of success are most important to you? What are you working on at the moment? And what areas are you not concentrating on? Because you should probably then devote some time to those as well. So look, let's talk a bit more about success, Mark. As I said, there's many, many different definitions, and not all of them are going to resonate with everybody, but chances are a few of them will. So let's go through a few to help our listeners find some inspiration, to help them create their own definition of success that they can apply to. So what are some of the definitions of success you'd be sharing with your people that you mentor and the successful business people that you deal with?
Well, I think the first one, Michael, is that success is really about doing your best. Success can be achieved when you try your best in all aspects of what you do, even if it doesn't actually lead to big results. If you've given it your best shot. There's a great book called The 4 Agreements in Life. And one of those agreements that you should make with yourself is to do your best. And I think if you can focus on doing your best, that's the best you can do, that's going to take you a long way along that journey.
That makes it much easier than judging yourself by other people's criteria or what others have done. If you've done your best, what more could you have done? Okay, how else would you judge success?
Well, I think setting concrete goals. Goals have to be concrete. They have to be realistic as well, obviously. But success doesn't come from setting, abstract, esoteric ideals. You actually have to have some concrete goals. You have to know where you're heading. And do you know, Michael, I always think that if you know where you're heading, that is success. It's a success in itself. Even if you don't ultimately arrive at that destination, but that's the destination you're heading for. If you fall short, that's still success in itself, isn't it?
Well, on the property side of things here at Metropole, we start off by setting goals, by having a strategic property plan. It's actually bringing our clients' futures into the present so that they can do something about it. And I know in Business Accelerator Mastermind that we're business partners in, when you see new clients, you set them goals as well. But it's not the old-fashioned, I guess used to be typical business plan of 40 pages that nobody ever looks at.
No, it's not. In fact, I devoted a whole chapter in my book, How to Have a Business, Not a Job, to this very point about goal setting. And as you know, Michael, our business planning is one page. The idea is that it's something simple that you can put together and then refer to on a regular basis to keep you on track.
Sure. Okay, what other areas of success? What else is of success?
I saw this one the other day and I really liked it, and it's very relevant to some experiences I've had recently with some people I know. But success is having a place to call home. What they're saying, home is where your heart soars. You're successful when you can call a place home. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a specific structure, by the way. It can be a country, it can be a city. Sometimes being with a person. And Michael, in case our wives are listening, then we would both say that being with our respective wives is being home, darling.
I don't think that's going to be a problem. Pam loves what I do, but I don't think she listens to my podcast.
I don't think Caroline listens to she would say she hears enough of me, Michael.
Yes. So that's actually a good point. Having a place to call home is a level of success. Right. I guess we're working through some of the things that you think are ways of measuring your own success so we can make some plans to achieve those things. What else, Mark?
I think the idea of understanding the difference between need and want, we sort of spoke about this a little bit earlier, and we said that some people just chase what they need, some people chase both what they need and what they want. If you can meet your monthly obligations, you can fill your basic needs, then that is successful. Do you know, if there's food on the table and a roof over your head and people are warm and dry. But I think sometimes you have to be able to identify when you absolutely need something or when you can do without it, and that will actually help you with financial stability. So sometimes, Michael, there's purchases we make that we justify to ourselves that we need them when we don't. I won't let the cat out of the bag, but...
Well, yeah, I know what you're thinking. I'm also just thinking through COVID. Simon Kirstenmacher in a recent podcast said there were two sorts of days during COVID: the days you bought things online you didn't need and the days you threw them out, the bin days.
Yes. I remember you telling me the last time you bought a new iPhone, you said to me, Mark, I need this new iPhone.
Yeah, I haven't dropped it or broken it yet either.
Oh, well, that's a good thing.
I also think success is believing that you can, being optimistic, believing you can succeed. Now, interestingly, self-belief doesn't come naturally to everyone. So if you're able to tell yourself you can achieve your goals, you can achieve your plans, that's great. You're already successful in believing that you're going to do it when, unfortunately, there are people out there who can't. So when people don't believe in you, you still need to work on your own self-confidence. Don't worry about what other people think. Just show them when you achieve what you say you're going to achieve. That's the best way at getting back at critics.
No, I agree. I think it's a very, very important ingredient, Michael.
What other areas of success do you think about?
What about the concept of balancing work and passion? We always talk about sort of work-life balance, but I just think that it's a work-passion balance. I mean, work without passion creates stress. You might achieve something, but it's like a hollow victory. It's an empty achievement. If you can focus on what excites you, if you're happy with your job, you're happy in your business, that's great. And even if you aren't, you can balance your formal job out with great hobbies or volunteer work. But it's about making sure that you spend time doing something that sort of, feeds your soul and makes you happy.
This is interesting because this has come up a couple of times in our chat already today, the concept of having balance, not spending so much of your effort on one element of your life, business, job, work, money, finances. Now, people often ask me, well, how do I do things? And you know me well, I'm actually probably not very balanced on a day-to-day basis. I work odd hours and I work weird hours and I work weekends at times. But if you look at it over a week, I definitely have time set aside to see the kids, the family, the grandkids. I have time with Pam. I have my own time every night with Pam as well, where we watch and relax. So over a week, over a month, I've got substantial balance. But on a day-to-day basis, no, sometimes it's quite focused.
Do you know, it's interesting you say that because I agree with you on both counts. But even when you're focused, what I think you do have right and is the work passion balance. Because other than when you're sort of having to put out some fires, which you have to do occasionally, most of the work that you're doing is actually something that you really love to do. So you might work long hours, you might work crazy hours, but it's doing the stuff that you love to do. So I think there's two elements. There's the work-life balance, and then there's the work-passion balance as well.
Well, I'm very lucky. I'm passionate about what I do. I still enjoy doing it, and that means it's not really work, is it? I guess another form of success is taking care of your needs, remembering to put on your own oxygen mask before assisting others. I know we speak about that with some of our clients at Business Accelerator, Mastermind, where they're too busy looking after other people rather than sorting out their own problems first. Self-care is essential if you want to have a meaningful impact on the people around you, your team, your family, your work, the world around you, I guess, Mark.
Well, that's right. Otherwise, it's just like a bank account, Michael. You just keep withdrawing from it, and eventually it goes into overdraft. And I suppose that the next thing that leads on nicely from that is to think that sometimes success and looking after yourself means saying no. You have to have that balanced life. And part of that balanced life, I think, is learning to say no. It doesn't mean that you're selfish. It doesn't mean that you don't care. It just means that you have other priorities at that point in time. So I think learning to say no, or at least, Michael, no, not now.
Well, really interesting in our upcoming intensive that we're going to be doing on the Gold Coast for members of Business Accelerator Mastermind, the session that I have. So you're the main presenter and you do most of the work with our clients there, but every now and then you invite me to do some things in the hot seat and at Mastermind. And we're going to be talking about things that you have to give up. So if you want to do new things in any area of your life, in this particular case, we're talking about business, but everyone's life's so busy anyway. If you want to do new things, you're actually going to have a to-don't list as well as a to-do list, where we're actually going to have to learn to say no to things so that you've got room to say yes to new things that are going to take you to the next level. But interestingly, you and I have gone through this personally. I'm your sounding board. Sometimes you're my business coach, but I asked you, what are you going to give up this year, Mark, so that you can do more?
Yeah, 100%. Hey, this would be one of the biggest single breakthroughs that I see with the people that we work with, is that striking that to-don't list and understanding that you just don't have to do everything. Getting that balance back is actually a part of the success process, isn't it?
Well, if everything's important, in other words, you've got no balance, then nothing's important because it's all at the same level. And so that's one of the lessons we teach. So you spend a lot of time helping people with Business Accelerator Mastermind. I actually want to go on to a whole lot more ideas about success in a second, but we mentioned it a couple of times. So can we just give those who aren't familiar with this, even though they should be by now because we've been talking for a long time, what do you actually do? That's a good question sometimes.
Yes, I'm thinking, Michael, how do I answer that? Look, the reality is Business Accelerator Mastermind is a business coaching program that works with professionals in private practice, service business owners who are looking to really scale their business to the next level. It's about getting to what we call a level 3 business, something that is not as reliant on you, something that you can take time out from, something that runs even if you're not there. You can take some holidays, and there's as much, if not more, money in the bank when you come back. as when you went away?
I like the program because it's a combination of one-on-one time with you, one-on many times throughout the week and the month with a group of people. And then, as I mentioned a moment ago, we're looking forward to the intensive, which we couldn't run last year, where we sit in a group session, a lot of action, a lot of interaction. I think one of the great things about Mastermind is that actually people have things to do. It's not just educational, it's just not learning, it's not just listening to other people, but if you can't actually have actionable takeaways to improve your professional practice or business, it's just another program.
Yeah, exactly. We work very much on the concept of learn, implement, review. So we teach things, but then we help you to actually implement them. And then we stop and check to see how that went and tweak them where necessary. So it's very much about getting things done.
So if you're in business or in a professional practice and you want to share the same business coach I do, go to metropolmastermind.com.au. I'll leave a link in the show note, metropolmastermind.com.au. And why not share the same business coach I have and even get me occasionally involved in those sessions as well. Mark, sorry, I got sidetracked from our list of things that are important. And what we said in success, we said that sometimes you've got to say no. I think the other area of success, and it sort of fits in with the optimism we talked about before, is knowing, believing that your life's filled with abundance, with love, with health, with friends, with family. There is abundance there, but you've got to actually recognize it and be grateful for it. In my mind, you can't be successful if you're not grateful. Gratitude's one of the important parts of being wealthy in general. We know lots of people have got lots of money, big businesses, lots of properties, but they're miserable. So I wouldn't call that successful, Mark.
No, neither would I. And one of the things that we do with our mastermind clients, Michael, in the group coaching sessions every month, we always start it with, what have your wins been? What have your wins been in the last 30 days and what are you grateful for? And I think it's a really important component just to stop, take stock and realize, there's an awful lot of really good things, because understanding that to me is a building block. It's the launching pad onto the next level, whatever that may be for you.
Okay, some other areas of success, Mark.
Well, there's the old saying, you can't keep what you don't give away. You'll only succeed if you help others to succeed. Helping others to get what they want is the best path to go about getting what it is that you want.
So when you help others, you create an environment where others want to help you. I was taught many years ago, and that's what I guess helped build my business, that I was already successful in property, and my good friend at the time, and he's still a friend, Tom Beck, said to me, Michael, you help other people become successful like you are, you're going to become even more successful. And boy, was he right. Mark, another area of success in many ways is overcoming fear. Conquering a fear makes you invincible. So therefore, don't allow the challenges, the hurdles to overcome you. Instead, overcome them and feel proud.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the important component, Michael, here is to understand that it's not an absence of fear.
No.
My father used to say, he used to have this always saying, it was fear knocked, belief answered, and there was no one there. So it's about having that belief. It's not the absence of fear. It's having a process for how to be able to deal with it and then push on from it.
Oh, I think that's a great point, because successful people have the same fears, the same worries, the same concerns that unsuccessful people have. They've just learned to overcome them and take action in spite of them, or actually making those fears the driving force for their action as opposed to stopping them doing things.
If we just talk business people for a minute, you and I have seen business people, Michael, who have no fear. Roman or Greek mythology was the Icarus, who had wings made of wax and flew into the sun. I mean, they have no fear, and so unfortunately, they don't keep an eye out for what could possibly go wrong, and the crash can be incredibly painful.
Saying that overcoming fear is one of the elements of success, or one type of success, is true, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't be conscious and cautious of the things that can go wrong. One way you can also be successful, in my mind, it's important to me, is learning something new. But learning something new every day, make an aim of it. Successful people don't stop learning. That's one of the reasons they come to Wealth Retreat. It's a room full of already very successful business people, entrepreneurs and investors. But even if you don't join us at Wealth Retreat, take time each day to learn something new. And that doesn't necessarily mean reading something that you already agree with, or listening to a podcast that you already agree with. Sometimes speaking to somebody who's got an opposing view, watch a TED talk on some new or different research, actually opens your mind to other things. Otherwise, it's basically just confirmation bias. That's actually not going to get you to the next level.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't try and learn something new off Facebook.
Why are the experts on Facebook? They're all epidemiologists. They all understand about viruses nowadays.
And they're all property experts too, Michael.
Oh, well, I see that on the YouTube channel, my YouTube channel, where I have fun with a couple of people. Hey, they're going to listen to this too, because these podcasts go out on YouTube as well. So you know who I'm speaking to. And it's interesting how much time they've got to leave their views on what's going to happen to the economy when I'm not really sure how well they're doing economically themselves. So you're right. Learn something new, but be careful who you learn from. Also, success is learning that losing a few battles can help you win the war. Be careful which battles you fight. Choose them wisely, Mark.
Yeah, it's about, we often talk, Michael, about the highest and best use of your time, whether that's in life, whether that's in business, whether it's in your job, in your investment strategy. But, choose your battles. I mean, spending time fighting something to win a very small battle when the war is still raging really doesn't make any sense. And that is not the definition of success.
Well, that's to do with business. It's to do with your employees. I guess it's also to do with your children and your spouse at home too. It's not worth fighting every battle. You can either be right or you can be happy. That's something I learned at Landmark many, many years ago. So I'd rather be happy at home than right every time.
I don't know what you mean when you're talking about fighting with a spouse, Michael. I have no idea what that's. I just don't argue.
I think another form of success, talking about spouses, it is important, is to have somebody to love and somebody to love back. Now, I know some people have been hurt along the way, and opening up to others can seem scary. But if you actually put up those barriers to stop people getting close, you really can't enjoy life to the fullest, in my opinion.
I think it's a much, much tougher journey if you're an island. And at the end of the day, we are human beings, not human doings. And so I think the opportunity to be, and as you say, let people in, for those who've been hurt before, I know that's tough, but it's a tough gig. But if you can just open just that tiny little bit each time, and you'll start to get the success that comes from that process as well.
I guess another form of success, Mark, is standing your ground when you believe in something. Successful people never give up on things that they believe in with all their heart. You may hold views that other people disagree with, but if you've done your research, if you believe you're right, if you've got the experience, while I said a moment ago, be careful about your battles, this is a slightly different thing. Don't let go without giving it a fight.
No, it's, they are saying you never compromise yourself. If you've got a particular stand that you're a firm believer in, and then I think you should stick to your guns and follow through with that. That gives that reinforcement of self-worth and that belief in self that we spoke about a little bit earlier, Michael, and that's how that contributes to success, I think.
Actually, I'm having fun talking about all these different forms of success, and I realise that I'm successful in many, many areas of my life, but there's still a couple of areas I could work on, and I hope others who are listening to this as well can say, maybe that's an area I should look at. Now, one of the areas of success that I believe is important for business people, entrepreneurs, and for property investors is not giving up, because things go wrong. If it was easy to be successful, everybody would. If it was easy to become wealthy through property, everyone would own a substantial portfolio. If it was easy to be successful in business, everyone would already be there. But if you get up one more time than the other people, it's going to get you closer to your goal. And I guess the other thing is to recognise that it takes time. I've often said it takes 30 years to be a successful property investor. The first 10 years, you've got to learn what not to do, undo all those mistakes. The next 20 years, you start building an asset base and then slowly lowering your loan to value ratios. In business, you can't start with a level 3 business up front. You've got to work its way up. So don't give up.
No, and Michael, how often have we seen people that give up just before, just before that critical point? I always love reading stories about people like Sylvester Stallone, for example. I don't know the exact figures, but apparently he took the script of Rocky to, 100 different production companies. just never, ever gave up. And
maybe he shouldn't have. No, I like that. There's in the last couple of movies in the series probably weren't as good. He was a bit old for it. But look where it got him.
once you get to Rocky 12 and Rocky 13, I think it's time to give up. But yeah.
So maybe another measure of success is knowing when to give up.
That's right. That's exactly right.
I think another area of success is celebrating the small victories along the way. Because as we said a moment ago, it's going to take a long time to achieve the ultimate success that many of us are looking for. So rather than looking for that ultimate success, how about celebrating those small victories along the way, the obstacles you have overcome? We don't often take time to celebrate. I think you've got to enjoy the journey. Otherwise, you're not going to appreciate the destination.
Yeah, you do. And, we were just saying before that with our mastermind clients, we ask them what have been their wins every month. And one of the things we always say is the win doesn't have to be a huge win. It doesn't have to be a massive client or a massive change in revenue. It might just be that you got to the gym one day this week or 3 days this month. So it's very much...
I missed the gym today, Mark. That's 5 years in a row now.
Boom tish. But, we talk about setting goals. They're destination goals. You've actually got to enjoy the journey along the way and celebrate those little wins as you go.
And I guess the last one I'd like to mention as a form of success is understanding that you control your destiny. Your destiny is controlled by you and you alone. If you feel in control, if you feel the pilot of your life, you're going to be feeling much better. On the other hand, if you believe that the outside forces, the government, your boss, the authorities, your education, your parents, your teachers have controlled you, then if you're the passenger rather than the pilot of your life, you're not going to be happy. So I think it's important to take responsibility for your actions, and also the consequences of your actions, and then you're going to become more successful.
Was it, Michael, Invictus? I think the closing line of Victus is it not? I am the master of my fate, the captain of my soul. I mean, you are in control. And I think the sooner that you learn that and the sooner you help, if we're talking about kids, the sooner you help your kids to learn that as well, probably the more successful they're going to be over time.
Hey, that's a good point. So while you're talking about success for yourself, you're the mentor of your children. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So don't rely on the teachers or the schools to teach your kids how to be successful. You've got to show them by things you say, things you do, the experiences you have with them. So I guess the bottom line for our chat today, Mark, is success can be defined in lots of different ways. So if you're experiencing happiness, love, adventure at the moment, you've already found success. Congratulations. You're living in the best country in the world, and despite all the things that are going on, probably when we look back at the time anyway, now it's the best time in history. I wouldn't have wanted to live any other time. So congratulations on your success so far. Keep it up.
Yeah, it's a great point, Michael. We stop and just be grateful for the success we are currently having. But
great. Okay. Well, I think that was a success. We had a good chat, and I look forward to catching up with you again in a couple of weeks for these regular chats on the Michael Yardney podcast.
No, I thoroughly enjoyed them, Michael. Thanks.
Well, thanks for joining me for the last half an hour or so as we chatted a bit about what success is, and I hope it's going to help you figure out what's important to you and maybe give you some steps to move forward. And if you found it useful, I'd really appreciate it if you told just one other person about the Michael Yardney podcast. Join me in my quest to make more people successful financially and in all sorts of other ways. Of course, in most of our shows, we talk about property and investment, but I think the psychology of success is very important. That's one of the areas of my interest, and I hope you're enjoying it as well. Now, you can catch me in between these twice weekly podcasts on social media. Just look for Michael Yardney. And if you want to get some daily inspiration, thoughts, ideas, tips, tricks that I don't leave elsewhere, go to my private Facebook group. Look for the Property Update Facebook group. And as a way of saying thank you for being a subscriber to this podcast, I've got a heap of reports and ebooks for you. Just go to podcastbonus.com.au. I'll leave a link in the show notes, podcastbonus.com.au, and I'll give you a gift of these reports to help you be more successful. Hey, that's appropriate for today's show, isn't it? I'll be back again real soon. In the meantime, have a great week. Make it a great week.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Michael Yardney podcast, which was brought to you by Metropole, who help their clients grow, protect, and pass on their wealth through strategic property and wealth advice. If you like what you heard and don't already subscribe, you'll find us on iTunes or on your favourite Android app as the Michael Yardney podcast. Watch out for our next show, which comes to you twice a week, and you'll learn some new ideas about property investment, success, and money in around 30 minutes. To get more of Michael's thoughts, go across to www.propertyupdate.com.au and sign up for his daily morning briefing, and you'll hear from not only Michael but a group of leading property success and money experts. And just a reminder that the information you heard in this show today is general educational advice and not specific investment advice, as we don't know your personal circumstances. If you're looking for specific advice, why not ask the team at Metropole to help you?